Who makes it to the US men's national team October camp for World Cup qualifying? Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo. Welcome to Tactical Manager TV. Today's episode, we're going to try to predict who Gregg Berhalter will bring to the October camp. I'll try to make some reasoning around it. It's obviously a few I'm going to get right, a few I'm going to get wrong. There's some locks. There could be injuries. We'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about players that are currently injured. We're going to update everyone on that and try to predict how many players he'll bring as well, because he can bring and he will bring more than 23. So for this camp, we're going to be facing Jamaica at home, Panama away, and Costa Rica at home. Along with all the assumptions we have to make in regards to injury, we don't know how the England red listed countries will affect this roster. And yes, I believe Panama was one of the red listed countries. I don't know how that will affect the roster decision. That means players that play in the Premier League probably wouldn't be able to participate on that specific match against Panama. The other two matches are in the United States, so that won't affect us. With all that said, guys, don't forget to comment your roster and tell me how many players do you think Gregg Berhalter will bring to this camp. I personally think it's 28. He'll bring more than the previous one. He learned his lesson. He needs more players. He had to bring in Jackson Hill to save the day. Jackson Hill didn't save the day, but he brought more because he needed to have more players. So essentially, I think he's going to have 3 goalkeepers, 5 center backs, 5 fullbacks, 6 midfielders, 6 wingers, and 3 center forwards for a total of 28 players. So hit that like button if you haven't already for this video. Comment your roster, how many players you think will be in the roster. Hit the notification bell, and let's get it started. Okay, I'm going to start with the goalkeepers, and the goalkeepers are the easiest ones. Assuming they're all healthy, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, and Ethan Horvath will be the 3 goalkeepers in camp in October. If one of them cannot go, Gregg will likely bring in Sean Johnson. All right, that's what he did this camp as well when Zach Steffen was confirmed to be out. So Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, and Ethan Horvath will be the 3 goalkeepers. That one I'm certain of. Okay. Now let's go to the center backs, and this one I think we could and will see some changes. The first one I want to talk about is John Brooks. Look, I know there's been a lot of criticism of John Brooks, but leaving him out is just madness. He's still technically our best center back, not performance-wise, but on paper, on where he plays, how he plays, the performances for the clubs, he's still our best center back. So leaving him out of roster is nonsense, and Gregg won't do that. So John Brooks is a lock in my personal opinion. The second one is probably the center back that has been performing the best for us right now, Gold Cup, qualifiers, and that's Miles Robinson. I think as long as he's healthy, there's absolutely no way Miles Robinson won't be there. The third center back I want to talk about is Tim Ream. Yes, I think Tim Ream will be there. I absolutely think he'll be there. Gregg brought him in. He played a game. Gregg loves the experience, and you guys know what Watke said on his video. Tim is there to keep Rayner in check. But wait. Will Gio be there? Maybe if Gio's not there, Tim Ream won't be there. Okay, I'm trolling a little bit too much right now. I think Tim Ream will be there. That's my point. So the other 2 center backs out of the 5 that I believe that'll be there will be Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie. Yes, so out of the ones that were in the previous camp in September, I think Walker Zimmerman won't be there. Gregg didn't play him at all throughout the games. I don't think Gregg rates him as highly as he used to. He wasn't in the Nations League roster. He was in the Gold Cup roster, which was technically our B team. So I think Walker Zimmerman will be left out. Chris Richards will be added as he just made the transfer to Hoffenheim, and he will be a consistent starter there. Chris Richards will join camp. Mark McKenzie will be there. So just to recap, John Brooks, Miles Robinson, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, and Mark McKenzie. Those are the 5 center backs I think Gregg Berhalter will bring. Make sure to comment yours down below. And again, so I don't keep asking y'all video, hit the like button. It really helps us get more people here on the channel. Let's move on to the fullbacks. The fullbacks is a trickier one, and I think we're going to have 5 fullbacks in this camp. One of them I'm going to say right away, it's Serginho Dest, so he can play the right and the left. So that's the one that will cover both. Then I think Gregg will bring 2 right backs and 2 left backs. So that's an extra fullback than he brought last camp. So I already told you Serginho Dest. Let's talk about the other 2 right backs. So right now, I do think Reggie Cannon and Yedlin will be the other 2 right backs. And let me explain. Reggie Cannon was mentioned by Gregg Berhalter for not being there due to not being match fit. And even though he hasn't been playing for Boavista, I feel like he will eventually this month. And Gregg really likes and rates Reggie Cannon highly, so I think Cannon will be there. Yedlin as well. I think he's the guy that brings experience, and I think Gregg trusts Yedlin despite being a little bit shaky a lot of the times. And me personally not rating him very highly, I don't have a problem with him being there, but I think Gregg will bring Yedlin. And I know there's a case to be made for Araujo, and I would love to see Araujo there. I just don't think Araujo will be ready to commit to the US. And I even heard that he has filed a one-time switch to L3. I haven't got any confirmation from the player himself, but it's what I heard, so I don't think Araujo will be there. Joe Scali has been making a very strong case for himself in the US men's national team with very good performances for Borussia, not Dortmund, at the right wing back, and even played as a left back at times. So Joe Scali's an option. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there. I just don't think Gregg will bring him in just yet. Another player to briefly touch upon is Brian Reynolds. I don't think he'll be there. It's been rough with him at Roma with Jose Mourinho, so I think Reynolds won't be there. If anything, the player that I think we could see there is Joe Scali replacing possibly Yedlin or Reggie Cannon that's not playing. But I'm going to go with Dest, Yedlin, and Cannon for Gregg Berhalter's 3 right backs. The left back position is way less tricky, and hear me out. Anthony Robinson has to be there. He showed what he can do in this camp. He was very good throughout it, and I think the second option is going to be George Bello. We don't have much depth right there, right? We need more options, and we don't have that. Sam Vines broke his collarbone and likely won't be back for the October camp. And even if he's back a little bit before, he's not playing, not going to be match fit. So I don't think Sam Vines will be there. So it's probably going to be Anthony Robinson and George Bello with Serginho Dest as another option. We're off to the midfield. And look, Gregg Berhalter right now is in World Cup qualifying, so don't expect many experiments. Most likely the players that will be there will be a lot of the players that were in September camp and a lot of the players that were with him throughout the summer. I don't think one-time callers are going to come in very often during World Cup qualifying, except for a few players like we had Ricardo Pepi. Joe Scali could be someone that we'll see, but in the midfield right now, these are the players I think he's going to bring. So I'm going to give you the players and talk about some that I left out. So I think he's going to bring Tyler Adams. Weston McKennie will likely be back despite the party boy Weston moment that kind of got him kicked out of the September camp. Sebastian Lletget will be there for sure. Yunus Musa has recovered and started playing again for Valencia, so I'm pretty sure Yunus Musa will be there. Kellen Acosta will be there as well, and I think Christian Roldan will make it to the roster once again. Yes, I think Roldan will be there. He did okay against Honduras. I didn't think he was very good against the other matches. I believe he played against El Salvador as well. So I think Roldan will be there personally. And the other players that I said, Acosta, Lletget, Musa, McKennie, and Adams, they're all pretty much locks, to be fair, right? There could be a case for maybe McKennie not being there due to the issue, but I think they're past that. He apologized. I think he's fine, and he'll be there in October camp. In regards to De La Torre and Greene, Gregg had a press conference. He mentioned several players he left out, like Hoppy and a couple others I mentioned, like Reggie Cannon that I said. He never mentioned De La Torre or Greene. So as much as I would love to see Greene or De La Torre there, I don't think they will be in camp right now. Unless there's an injury. If there is an injury, I think Julian Greene is the one that's probably ahead of De La Torre. He was in Nations League camp, didn't play, but he was in camp there at Switzerland, and Gregg has been in touch. He didn't reject a call for Gold Cup. De La Torre did reject the call. He's playing in Bundesliga, tougher team than the Dutch league. So if one of these players gets injured, I think Julian Greene is the next option. Okay, now we're at the wingers, and I'm going to start with the first one, and it's Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic is currently injured with an ankle injury, but he should be fine. He's supposed to be back in 10 days or so he will be match fit. He will be good for the camp. Pulisic will be there. The player I think we won't have is Giovanni Rayner. He's currently dealing with a hamstring injury. He probably won't be back till camp, and I think Gregg won't call him in just to let him time to heal and get him ready for the next camp in November, and to not put in jeopardy the long-term health of a young player. Hopefully Giovanni Rayner doesn't have the same injury issues his father had, Claudio Rayner. So with that said, guys, the other wingers that I think we're going to bring in are Brendan Harrison, Paul Arriola. Yes, I think Paul Arriola will be back. Gregg has mentioned him in the press conference if he's healthy, which he's been struggling a lot to be healthy lately. Paul Arriola will be in the roster, and he is back for DC United, and he is playing. Conrad de la Fuente will most certainly be there. Been very good for Marcel. I think Matthew Hoppe will be there. It depends if he's getting minutes at Mallorca. If Hoppe's not there, maybe Gregg will just bring 5 wingers. The other one I want to talk about is Nico Joaquini. He will be winger number 6. He transferred to Montpellier at Ligue 1, the French First Division. He has been getting minutes, had his debut already, so I'm pretty sure he'll be there as well. So just to recap, Christian Pulisic, Brendan Harrison, Paul Arriola, Conrad de la Fuente, Matthew Hoppe, and Joaquini. All players that have been with Gregg this summer or before. I think these are the wingers that Gregg Berhalter will bring in October. All right, now the center forwards. And I think there's 3 center forwards that he's going to bring. And that's going to be Josh Sargent. I think Gregg really likes Josh, and he's going to continue to give Josh Sargent a lot of opportunities, in my personal opinion. And I think he should continue to do that as well. I think Ricardo Pepi will be there. He most certainly earned at least 2 to 3 more starts with the national team just for that performance. So Ricardo Pepi will be there for sure. And if healthy, I truly believe Gregg Berhalter will bring Jassy Zardes. Not DK, not PFOC. He mentioned Zardes on the press conference. He liked Zardes in Gold Cup. He's a Columbus guy. I really believe Zardes will be the 3rd option right there. Hopefully Pepi will get more starts. I want to see more from Ricardo Pepi. Alright guys, this video is not to criticize the roster or to compliment the roster, because this might not be the roster. Some of these players might not be there. It's just me speculating. I'd like to hear your speculation as well. So with that said, comment down below your roster. How many players you think Gregg's going to bring? I personally think he's going to bring 28 for this camp. He learned his lesson on the last one. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure you already have, because you guys have been great with that. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I want to thank once again all the members of the channel that continue to support the channel as we grow. Hopefully very soon we can start providing more content and maybe start some more live streams, maybe some gaming live streams for Football Manager, talk about tactics, but that's completely off topic. So thank you everyone very much for watching. Have a great day.